Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. And what a beautiful evening it is. My name is Jennifer Ferguson, and I'm the minister at Knox United Church, where it is our mission to build community that cares, shares, and dares. And that's why we're all here tonight, right? All right. On behalf of our community of faith, I would like to welcome you to Knox and thank all of you, including those of you who are joining us via live stream, for taking the time to learn all about our candidates for City Council. And a very special welcome to all of our candidates tonight. It wouldn't be an all candidates forum if you weren't all here, so thank you for coming. We very much appreciate your time and your commitment to this city, and we're looking forward to hearing all of your plans and visions. Before I introduce our wonderful moderator for this evening, I would like to point out a couple of quick housekeeping points. First has to do with the all-important issue of where are the washrooms. You will find them through these doors and down the hall on this side of the church. The second item is that while you might see throughout the next couple of weeks some signs for particular candidates in front of the church, we'd like to make a disclaimer that those signs are on city property and were placed there by candidates' teams, and we are not promoting one candidate over another, just to make that clear. And the third is I would like to thank all the folks who had a hand in helping to make this forum possible, and you all know who you are. And now I would like to introduce our moderator for this evening. He is a respected veteran broadcaster whose sultry voice and incisive interviews we are so used to listen to on the beach before he retired a couple of years ago. He is island-born from Victoria, stumbled into his radio career in Orillia, Ontario, and eventually found his way back to the island. And we are so glad you did. Thank you so much for agreeing to be our moderator for this evening. Please welcome him, listen to him, and do whatever he says tonight. No, his name is not Simon. It is the delightful Dave Graham.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. And welcome all to the All Candidates Forum. This is presented by, I better keep these out, actually, Knox United Social Justice and Outreach Team. And thank you to you, of course, our audience, for being in attendance this evening, and, of course, our candidates for participating this evening. I'm just going to sort of talk a little bit about the arrangements for tonight, and then we'll launch right into the proceedings. We have 2 hours booked for the sort of scheduled portion of this evening with all the questions and answers. We are prepared to extend this for up to 30 minutes afterwards to provide an opportunity for you to meet with candidates here, and it's a little meet and greet. The format for this evening will consist of candidate introductions, all candidates getting 2 minutes each. Then we will pose the same 3 questions for all candidates to answer. Those 3 questions will be about affordable housing, the doctor shortage, and the environment. We have imposed a limit of 1 minute for responses, and that seems to me almost impossibly short, because so few, it seems, issues are simple enough to deal with in 1 minute, but hence the challenge for this evening's participants. As time permits, we will move to submitted questions. We've made the opportunity available for you to write yours, and there is still time if you wish to participate in that fashion. However, let it be known we can't guarantee that all questions are going to be asked through the course of this evening. In the interest of time, we ask that you hold applause. We expect this evening's proceedings, of course, to be conducted without any form of disruption. We ask that all present be respectful at all times. We trust that our security personnel will be able to remain inactive throughout this evening. Please note, as Jennifer mentioned, this event is being live streamed to a potential audience of millions of people. Where's my camera? Welcome to our online guests. The candidates have been arranged in alphabetical order according to surname. When it is your turn, please step up to the nearest microphone and I'm going to step in after Lucky Butterworth to speak on behalf of Adam Frass. So we will begin with introductions, please, starting from audience left, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Karen Badel. My background is in healthcare. I've worked in long-term and extended care. I was an ER nurse at St. Paul's and VGH in Vancouver, and for the last 20-plus years, I've been working in cancer-related research. So my work background is really along the lines of complex issues and solutions-oriented. The reason I've decided to run for council is that I've got concerns about the frenetic development that's happening, and with that comes impacts on a lot of the things that we care about, our environment, our water sustainability, and of course our thinning infrastructure, in particular with my background, the availability of healthcare providers. I'd like to see, and my goals are to try and push some of our natural assets that Parksville is so lucky to have, our estuary, our wetlands, our river, our aquifer, and make those part of the municipal asset infrastructure. I would really also like to see some permeable surface policies that ensure that the rain that we have and the moisture that we collect is able to recharge our aquifers. Healthcare is for sure a crisis here in terms of providers, and we need some strategic solutions in terms of trying to create opportunities so that people are not having to go to, for example, Nanaimo or to Comox Courtney for prescription renewals and things like that. So that's an introduction to me, and thank you again for all being here and having an interest.
Good evening. My name is Frank Bailey, and I just want to thank you for taking the time and energy to come here and take an interest in the future of Parksville. I grew up for the first 7 years of my life on a 28-acre island called Tugboat Island off of Gabriel Island. My dad was the caretaker. He's actually sitting here in the front row right now. And yes, ladies, he is single. Just putting that out. But my dad, he taught me what an honest day's work is. He bestowed upon me a love for the environment and a respect for the environment. And I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for my dad, so thank you. I moved to Parksville 4.5 years ago after completing my training in Kilgore College in Texas for firefighting. I joined the fire department and diligently served for approximately 4 years. 40, who? Maybe someday. My background, I've got 2.5 years as a financial advisor specializing in debt consolidation, 7 years on the board of directors for Big Brothers Big Sisters and Sin Central Filmmakers Society, 10 years serving on youth groups and working with youth, and another 10 years running my own small business. Parksville, I came up here and I was looking for passionate people who cared about their community, people who had a passion to empower others, and that's what I found. People like Adam Frass, who aren't able to be here tonight because he's riding in the Tour de Rock for Cops for Cancer. My friend Mark Chandler, he's here for me too. And I just want to thank you guys for being here. I'll do my best, and that's all I got because 2 minutes is up.
He made it look really easy. No, it's this one that's supposed to, okay. Okay. Good evening and hello everyone. My name is Mary Beal, and for those of you who don't already know me, I'm a longtime resident of Parksville. I've lived here since 1986. I was a former principal at Parksville Elementary School, which is a school that's now closed. It's now called the Craig Street Commons. I've served on council previously in the term from 2014 to 2018, where I learned an awful lot about municipal government and how that works. I've also, closer to home, I'm a block watch captain, and I'm also a supporting member of many nonprofit organizations. We have a number of very important issues facing our city: housing, primary health care access, concerns about conservation of green space, opportunities for recreation, impacts of climate change, and questions about water and the costs associated with services and infrastructure. A top priority for me is the need to review and update our official community plan. Our present OCP is about 10 years old, and I think most people would agree that a lot has changed in the last few years, never mind 10 years. The pandemic has accelerated a shift to more people working remotely and making purchases online. Does this have an impact on our commercial and retail areas? It's a good question, I think, that we need to ask. It has also increased the value of outdoor recreation and spaces, both for physical and for mental wellness. Climate change is a significant factor. There's a greater awareness and a need to do what we can to mitigate adverse effects. All of this can and should inform our decisions about land use now and going forward. A review of the OCP is a budget item, and I believe it should be a priority and not put off. Housing that is affordable, especially for those with minimal or lower incomes, is a pressing need. An OCP provides a guide for land use and serves to inform decisions about development, housing, green space, and transportation corridors. Thank you.
I'll try. There we go. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to come out and listen to us all. I think it's a very important part of the election process, so thank you all for being here. My name is Lucky Butterworth, and yes, Lucky is my real name. It's not a nickname, so when you see that on the ballot, it's not a nickname. My family came to Parksville 16 years ago from Prince Rupert to find a track club for our daughter and to escape the reign of Prince Rupert. We achieved both, so that was great. I'm a chartered professional accountant, and I worked as the city's director of finance here for 16 years. And prior to that, I was the director of finance in the city of Prince Rupert for a couple of years. I've been interested in politics for a long time, and I think that the municipal level of government is the level where you can do the most good for your community. The other levels aren't focused on community level. I've worked 18 years serving various city councils and have gained a great deal of experience as the role of council by attending many, many council meetings and attending strategic planning sessions and governance sessions with the councils of the day. I think that will bring, that experience will help me on the council side of the table. Sorry, I'm a little nervous here. I've asked quite a few people about what they like and don't like about Parksville, and many of the likes center around active living options and small town friendliness. The dislikes at this point in time relate to the lack of doctors and the amount of development happening from the people I've been talking to. My priorities would be, that are within council's control, include dedicated pickleball courts, would approach the RDN to partner with us on this, completion of the Rathtrevor Trail from the community park to Shelley Road, improved bike lane network and infrastructure to support the rapid increase of e-bikes, support completion of the rubberized track, reduce development variances unless they directly I was envious.
I didn't know they were going to do that. And he's looking at me. I guess that's the format. Okay. On behalf of Adam Frass, I am going to read his introductory remarks. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be included in this all-candidates meeting. I apologize for not being able to attend this evening, as I wish I could, but I am currently riding with the Cops for Cancer Tour de Rock, fundraising money for pediatric cancer programs for local families who are impacted by cancer. Many of you might already know the name Adam Frass in Parksville from the charity work I've been involved with, or, of course, from being elected to council in 2018. And also serving this past term on the board of directors with the regional district of Nanaimo. I have contributed many years of service to our community that is only matched by the many more ahead of me. My background includes being a commercial pilot, a local electrician, and having a diploma in business administration from the University of Victoria. As a father with a young child and with senior parents, I have an understanding of the challenges facing young families in our area, including limited housing and health care access. One of my priorities is to cautiously grow Parksville in a way that is supportive of families, one that carries a vision for our future and is connected to our roots as a seaside family community embedded amongst pristine natural beauty. My current experience means that I would bring a continuity to council, one with an understanding of past decisions both at a local and regional level. I'm looking to help guide the new council into the future, and this is why I am asking for your support. I'm offering myself for re-election, and I need your vote. When I am back from fighting for families battling cancer, know I will continue to be here for you too. I am committed to working for the best interest of Parksville, and I need your support by voting for Adam Frass this election. 0. Okay. Please, I know it feels weird, but again, if you could hold applause, thank you. One quick little message I've neglected to touch on before we continue with introductions. We have one more aspect of tonight's proceedings to mention. At the end of the question period here, each candidate will be offered the opportunity to make closing remarks. They will be offered all of 30 seconds. It should be fun. Okay. And now let's continue with Amit.
Good evening, Parksville. My name is Amit Gore. In case you have missed my signs, my flyers, or all the big posters with my face on, this is me in flesh and blood. I live here in Parksville, I work here, and I'm very much invested in our community. I'm running for council with a deep desire to serve you all, to serve our community that we all love. And this is my way of giving back to the community. The best things for me in these council elections have been going door to door, knocking on your doors, talking to people. I have received the warmest welcome most of the times. People are eager for a change. I hope all of you, all the people I've knocked doors on, or their doors, come out to vote for something new. Vote for me. This has been an amazing experience, amazing learning experience. I did not know we had a volunteer club called the Eagles, or the Rotarians, how much they love Happy Jacks on Saturdays. I know we will have tough decisions to make in the future, but I believe in collaboration, engagement of the public in decision making. And that brings to my priority 1, to have better public engagement when we make decisions in the City Hall. I'm here to listen. I would like to address the increased stress on our infrastructure with the growth that we have seen. I would like to protect our green spaces, coastline, and the parks. I envision a recreation facility that involves facilities for seniors, young people, and people with disabilities. I will support our local businesses, art, and culture community. My name is Amit Gore, and I look forward to your support. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joel Grenz, first-time candidate, long-time listener. That is a radio joke for you. Before I start, I'd like to thank Knox United Church for hosting this event. I wasn't sure whether there was going to be one this election, so thank you so much for all the people who did hard work to make this happen. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank all the candidates on this stage tonight who are putting a name forward to stand for office. We've all seen how democracy has come under threat over the past few years around the world, and it's critical that we as Canadians stand up for our democracy. So enough on that. So me, you want to hear all about me, right? So I moved here in 2016 with my wife and 3 young children. We actually came here for a skating competition and pretty much fell in love with the place. Within, I don't know, probably like 3 months, we were actually moving away from Ladner and setting down roots here. As of this month, my 3 kids are all in high school up the road at Bellina's there, which has freed me up for this journey that I'm starting today. Since I moved here in 2016, the population of Parksville has increased by 10%. That's actually almost double the population increase in Canada. But ask yourself, during that time, have you seen a 10% increase in doctors and healthcare practitioners, or a 10% increase in our recreation programs and facilities? These are the core services that we all rely on to thrive here in Parksville. So what do I bring to the table when it comes to these issues? Well, I have a law degree from UBC, which has given me a strong foundation in our institutions here in Canada. But since I was a kid, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart. In fact, I turned down an investment on Dragon's Den, which is a story that I can tell you in the lobby afterwards. Over the past 20 years, I've been able to work with all kinds of different organizations, which I believe has given me the perspective I need to serve in this capacity. So I'm running for council because I love this community, and I want to make sure that no matter your age, stage, or walk of life, that you can thrive here in Parksville. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Michael Kelly. I'm a 20-year resident of Parksville. I've been involved in the community with both the Oceanside Generals. I've coached softball for 12 years here. I've raised 2 daughters with my wife, Jane. They've both gone through Bolinas. My oldest is a UVic grad, working now in Nanaimo as an operations manager. My youngest is in Capilano University studying performing arts. Our family is invested in this community. We are fortunate enough to have a family doctor. I know a lot of you aren't. And that's one of my top priorities, is to research further a program that's in Winnipeg that they're using right now that's working miracles in attracting new general practitioners out of universities across Canada and the States. I'd like to take that a lot further than just knowing about it. Affordable housing is something that's close to my heart. Affordable housing has so many different definitions. It's convenient to put whatever definition of it you want on the table for your need. But when you stop and think that a person, for example, renting one of the new apartments across the street from Quality Foods, they need to, by the Royal Bank standard for affordable housing, they need to be making $66,000 a year. The median average income in Parksville is $38,500. So you can see that we've got a lot of the people that work in your retail, your restaurants, your coffee shops, they don't have anywhere to live here. If you've got kids and a wife, you need a home, good luck. It's just not there. So that's one of the main issues I want to also address. And I'm also very concerned about the development on Shelley Road. I walk both my daughters through there in strollers, and I don't want to see anything on Shelley Road disturbed. It's right here. I don't want to see that happen. Anyways, thank you for coming. We look forward to seeing you all vote. So long.
It's like a balancing act there. Good evening, folks. My name's Amarjeet Man. I go by Jeet. You've probably seen my signs out there. I'm a resident of Parksville, and I'm asking for your vote on October 15th. Now, the reason that I'm running, I think it begins with a personal story. So, Earlier in this last few years, we've all seen the impacts of the pandemic and what it's done to the healthcare system. That pulled me to the healthcare system to help, because that's the type of person I am. My wife is a registered nurse, and when I saw what was happening to those heroes and how stressed out and burnt they are, I said, I need to take the skill sets that I have and lend a hand. Ironically, during the same period of time, I also had my own cancer struggle. My wife is my hero. I'm missing a chunk of my foot now, but she saved my life. And today, I make these moments really personal to myself because it's also my daughter's 11th birthday, and I would have missed it. So what is at the core of the reason that I am here and running is because life gives you those moments when you reflect and go, why, what am I doing, and how can I help make the world a better place? And right now that starts here in Parksville. We are not sustainable in how we are developing. We're not sustainable in how we're spending, and we need to protect our resources so every single person that decides to become a Parksville resident thrives. The way of life and community is at stake. I have a background in business. I have a master's degree. I have an MBA. Some people would say that's an MB bleep. But you know what? I bring that to skill set here. I like the fact that there's financial accountability here, and I like the fact that there's people that want to engage the public, because I bet you right now, if we all collaborated and put our many brains together, we can solve a lot of these issues that are put forth behind us. My time's up. Thank you.
Hi. Good evening. I would like to thank the Knox United Church for hosting us this evening. This is a great forum because we're not having many of these events in Parksville. I have a long-time connection to Parksville as my great-grandparents, the plumbers, settled here in 1886. My family and I have owned property here ever since. I'm running for council because I believe my experience can make a difference in how our city grows for the benefit of all our citizens. I'm a longtime successful business owner and a community volunteer. As a board member of the Parksville Museum, I'm proud to be a part of the recent expansion that has taken place. I was co-chair of the BC Justice Institute Foundation Board, where I learned what a fine job that institute does in training our emergency and police and personnel. The BC Minister of State appointed me to a mental health panel, which gave me good insight into the challenges we face today with mental illness and drug addiction. For 10 years, I served on the BC Assessment Review Panel as chairperson in Parksville and Victoria. Sports has been a big part of my life, and I am a passionate sports fan. I will support affordable sports facilities that work for all age groups in our wonderful community. My platform includes finding solutions for below-market affordable housing, finding solutions to attract new doctors and health professionals. It takes a team effort from all governments, but it can be done. We have many experiences here in Parksville with that. Future development in Parksville must be environmentally sound, financially make sense, and provide the type of housing we need. My business experience will help council keep taxes in check. Be assured my experience in energy will work hard and dedicated myself to improving the lives of all students in our great community. October 15th, vote for Sylvia Martin. Thank you for your time.
You think I'd know how to work one of these, wouldn't you? David, before we start, I would just like to, because of the time of the year it is with the First Nations holiday coming up, to respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories of the Coast Salish Nations. So, and the clock ticks. The first question we should all be asking ourselves tonight, which of the mayoral candidates has the financial knowledge and the leadership ability to lead this city? After all, if you think about it, the primary attribute of a good mayor is really one of leadership. A mayor has to take 6 councilors, all with varying attitudes and views and opinions, and bring them together to one common vision. And that is a trick unto itself. I have that proven ability. For the last 4 years, we have accomplished more in this city than any other council has accomplished in the history of Parksville. We will immediately call for another mayor's roundtable, just like the one we had in 2019. And we will conduct on an ongoing basis every 3 months town hall meetings so we can talk about what you want to talk about. We need to open up communications, not just to get your views, but to understand the views that you have. Let's talk about Parksville for a minute. Parksville is carbon neutral. It has been carbon neutral every year for the last 15 years. We planted 12,000 trees in the last 4 years. And here's something that's going to really address some of the comments that we've had. We have a water supply capacity for twice the existing population of Parksville as we stand here right now. We have $32 million in our restricted reserve funds for the ongoing expenses for infrastructure, for repairs and maintenance, and for the acquisitions of large pieces of equipment. So if you want Parksville to remain one of the top 3 economically sustainable communities in all of British Columbia.
Good evening. I'm Paula Miles, and I live, work, and play. Okay. I live, work, and play in Parksville. I have been here for over 10 years. I have been very involved in the community since I got here. I worked at the Safe House for 7 to 8 years. I also sat on the Homelessness Task Force. I was also a member of the Oceanside Health and Wellness Network, and I chaired that group for a year. Doing these types of things allowed me to see our city from a very unique perspective. During my 40 years as a social worker, I have worked for city government. I have also worked for many nonprofits. We need to be aware of all of the issues that affect our community. We need to move forward. We need to be looking at housing, keep the green environment. I really believe we need to be looking at food security. We need to be looking at our infrastructure and making sure that our infrastructure will support anything new moving forward. The affordable housing issue is also related very clearly to small business. Small business, the employees need to have a place to live. As somebody else stated, $1,500 for an apartment, and you don't, you have to be making something like $67,000. $67,000 a year, and we know that doesn't work. I believe we need to review our official community plan, and we need to remember that your vote matters, but it don't only matters on the 15th. Your participation matters throughout the entire term. We need to hear from you. We need to decide where we want to go in the future. So remember, your vote, your participation matters. Thank you.
Good evening. Sorry, this is low.
I'll be the designated mic guy.
Hi, Joel. Thank you. I knew I brought you along for something. Thanks, Joel. Thanks, Joel. Hi, I'm Parksville Councillor Doug O'Brien. And first off, thank you so much for giving me the support you did 4 years ago to ensure that I'm up on this stage today. I liked it so much, I'm now going for the position of Mayor of Parksville. So thank you all in the past for your support. I hope to get more support even after tonight in the election for the position of Mayor. I'm running for mayor in this beautiful city because I became interested in Parksville politics shortly after moving here, and since that time, I've served on the Parksville Citizens Advisory Panel, the Parksville OCP, the Official Community Plan Review in 2012, and 2018, I was elected councillor. 4 very quick years after serving the residents and businesses of our community, I announced my candidacy for the position of mayor. During my term on council, I have demonstrated my commitment to serving you by assisting, listening, and learning your concern and visions for Parksville. Much of my role has been a position of advocating and collaboration for neighborhood communities, recreation and art groups, environmental clubs, and concerned individuals, all with respect and compassion in creating a better Parksville. As well, I've been instrumental reaching consensus of many issues of concern to our community. My style of governance is to use accountability, integrity, and collaboration. This past term has provided the experience and education to prove my leadership abilities and vision. I'm ready to take on the role of Mayor of the City of Parksville, working for you for a better Parksville, because you deserve better. Thank you very much for your support, and besides, I also have a certificate in coaching for pulling the whole team together, as well as also a purchasing agent and undershare limited for 27 years and branch manager, and I understand financial statements inside and out. Thank you so much.
Good evening, and thank you all for attending, and for everyone out there who's watching online. My name is Teresa Patterson, and I am requesting your vote for a return to City Council. So why would I want to serve another 4 years? I've been out knocking on doors, and I had a resident say that I was a career politician, and it was time for new blood. And it was a little surprising. Now, I wanted to have a discussion, but they, however, did not want to engage in a conversation. But thinking about that and those comments, I feel that I have been on council, that my being there has been an extension of who I am. Much like a member of a congregation, a volunteer, or serving on a board, a member of a society or service club. I'm dedicated to this community. I'm listening, I'm being accessible, and it's not just for the short term or one issue. I raised my children here. Love you. And I'm very optimistic of having grandchildren grow up here safely. So I take ownership of my decisions and serve with honor. Different points of view are to be respected, and my voice brings yours to the council table. Vibrant, smart, sustainable growth is a priority, but while keeping our charm and way of life celebrated. Infrastructure needs to be looked at seriously with low-income housing, policing, water, green space, and our volunteer fire department. I love the arts, local businesses, you might remember me from Pacific Brim, sports, tourism, and our new theater in the park, and having all ages here in Parksville. I live, work, play in Parksville, and want to continue to serve this community. So I ask for your vote on October 15th or advance voting October 5th and 10th. Thank you very much.
Hi there, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Michael Peterson. I'm married with 2 young boys who attend Oceanside Elementary School. I've been in media and communications for over 20 years. I'm a volunteer, a local homeowner, and a professional. I'm running for a seat in council because I genuinely love our city, and I believe that working for you would be an honor. And I have a duty to protect a future in this city for my children who are growing up here. My mother is also a senior and a local homeowner as well, so I understand both parallels. If elected, I'll work hard with council to improve the city's strategic plan. So here are just a few issues that are important to me. I'm concerned with the ongoing gentrification of our neighborhoods and the resulting lack of affordable accommodations for young families. I met someone just the other day who was concerned that he might be evicted from his rental property, and if so, he'd have to leave Parksville. That's an issue. I'm a huge supporter of a rec center. Surprised nobody's mentioned it yet. I believe that it should also include an indoor theater, indoor basketball, and courts for sports with an additional seniors and youth-focused facilities and programs. I'd like to see the completion of the running track behind Bolinas, a public sports center behind the high school to serve students, track and field, football, and all other organizations that like to use that field. I'm a supporter of local business first and always will be, and that goes without saying, but I believe that we also need to attract more higher paying jobs and businesses into this community as well. That's part of the problem. I love all of the events of our city, and I would support growing our annual event portfolio year-round. A vote for me is a vote for teamwork, transparency, enhanced communication, more senior services, and youth opportunities and programs. You can visit my website, my Facebook page, or contact me directly for more information. On October 15th, I would be honored for your support. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it, and for listening to all of us. I haven't decided how I'm going to approach this, except I think I'll just go off the top right now and address you. I'm a incumbent councillor. I was elected in 2018, and I'm very happy to say I'm running again, and I love being a councillor. I've really learned a lot on council for the last 4 years, and I feel comfortable that I know that I can get things done. I understand how to get things done. So I do bring an interior design degree with me along with urban studies, and that helps me an awful lot interpreting and applying the OCP. I'm a liaison with the advisory design panel among a few other liaison positions, and I work very hard to have the expectation that developers are going to bring us green development. I'm pretty strict about it, and I want them to go to the step code 4. I know they don't always like it, but you know, some of them have stepped up to the plate to do it. We have to look towards building a greener future. We do have a climate change issue going on right now as well. So part of what I ask of developers is that they look at rainwater capture and stormwater management, putting solar array, and all of the things that might help us grow a greener economy here. And I've got 20 seconds. So one of the things that why I want to run, I guess I just want to continue what we've been able to do, not only for myself, but as a council. As far as development goes, there is a lot of development here. Oops, I'm out of time. I could speak forever, but there you go.
I'd like to first acknowledge that we're on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, and more specifically Snanawas and Qualicum First Nations. I'd also like to thank Jennifer, Ken, Dave, and Joel for opening up their beautiful place of worship for tonight's meeting. It's my privilege to have the opportunity to run for Parksville Council. I've been attending the Parksville City Council meetings in person for a little over 7 months. During that time, there were a couple of occasions I almost raised my hand to vote. That's no joke. I've met separately with both mayoral and most councillor candidates, and I'm ready to go to work for the people of Parksville. Should I earn your vote, be assured that I will work well with either Ed or Doug, along with the elected councillors, in order to do my part in making the best decisions for the city of Parksville. I ran federally in 2019 for the Green Party of Canada, but it feels great to run nonpartisan. Party politics often seem more divisive than ever. I strive to have a reputation of being a pleasure to work with, even if we have differing opinions, and will always aim to discuss things with the utmost respect. I'm hearing concerns about access to primary health care and family doctors, transitional housing, workforce housing, housing rentals, non-market housing, such as co-ops, unaffordable mortgage down payments, the toxic drug supply, overdose and addiction crisis, and supporting small businesses, public safety, and taking care of our rivers, trees, and oceans. I'm a small business owner as a logo designer. My wife is a registered nurse working here in Parksville, and our 2 young boys attend Oceanside Elementary School. I've spent 5 years as a volunteer firefighter with the Parksville Fire Department with an exemplary attendance record. Designing logos for small businesses means I learn as much as I can about the client's business, work collaboratively with them, and arrive at a creative solution to their needs. And that's precisely what I intend to do, to bring to the council table: listening, collaboration, creativity, and solutions that will work best for the community. I always strive to be easy to work with, to bring good ideas and information, and to always be respectful even if we disagree. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all for your considered comments. And now we're going to crank up the pressure a little bit more, take the clock down to 1 minute, and pose to each successive candidate down the road that is, the same question. We will have 3 questions to go through, 1 minute for each to pose their answers. So we are going to start at this end. Surprise. Sean Wood, you have 1 minute to answer this question. Yeah, please. Why waste time?
I don't even get to hear the question yet. I'm from Mayoral, Ontario as well. Was it CFOR?
Are you kidding me?
Was it CFOR?
Yes.
CFOR, everyone?
Wow.
No one knows who that is.
Nobody knows.
That's a radio station from Mayoral, Ontario.
Crazy connections, a small world. Wouldn't want to paint it. Okay. Here's your question. What will you do to provide more affordable housing, including accommodation with rent geared to income?
So housing is a gigantic topic. A lot of people that I speak to don't want any more development, not in my backyard. There's already too much. I totally understand that. But what we've seen in the last couple of years is all of our real estate prices went through the roof, which is great if you're already in the market. If you're not in the market, who doesn't have a home in here? Raise your hands if you don't have a home. Okay, so we do have 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. The rest of us have homes. Businesses are screaming for employee housing because it's so expensive. It's great if you're in the market, but if you're not, we really need to work on housing that is affordable, and what that means is some of it might be non-market housing. Because when we used to have more non-market housing, the CMHC used to be more involved, and we do less and less of that now. There are a lot of, in all the G7 countries, we do the least non-market housing for people. So what that means is you have to make a lot of money to be able to afford to live in Parksville. It's just too expensive. I spent 8 years living in Whistler. That's how I got out to from Aurelia to BC. I came out to do 1 year snowboarding, and I'm still here. That was in 1993. But I worked in staff housing up for the Chateau Whistler, used to be Canadian Pacific, now it's Fairmont. But they knew when they're building a ski resort, they knew they had to build employee housing because a ski resort is going to get too expensive for people to be able to live for all the workers. And they built specific employee housing there. And we have to start taking that sort of stance to make sure businesses have places for their staff to live. It's beautiful to live here. It's great if you're already in the market, but we really need to, there goes my microphone. I don't even need one, I'm pretty loud, but we really need to
Okay. Thank you, Sean. Moving right along, we will swiftly do so. Marilyn, would you like me to pose the question again? I would. What will you do to provide more affordable housing, including accommodation with rent geared to income?
Okay. Am I on?
Sandy? Try. Yep.
Okay. So, perhaps it's more to the point to explain what is happening right now. I know it seems that we don't have any. It's because we have a development boom going on right now. Housing is coming. It just takes time to come. So just some of the things that we have done. We met recently with the Minister of Housing at the UBCM and asked, what are you going to do for us? So they are promising that they're going to talk to us, BC Housing. We do have incentives from the city, and I think it's important for people to know. We have density bonuses, fee waivers, DCC waivers, tiny home abilities on individual lots, believe it or not. Carriage houses, suites are allowed. And so we can't force developers to build it, but we can encourage them, and staff do encourage developers to build. So right now, I sat on the advisory design panel last week, and the developer came forward with a CMHC project for
I know. A minute. That's going to be a big issue tonight. 1 minute seems hardly enough, but it seems the only practical answer in order to be able to get everyone at least a chance to speak on these matters. So, Michael, would you like to hear the question again?
Why not? Let's do it.
Certainly. What will you do to provide more affordable housing, including accommodation with rent geared to income?
Thank you. Well, first of all, as current council has put into place, we should have well over 1,000 units coming in Parksville, and I'm hoping, for one, that many of those units will be more affordable than a lot of the high-end units that tend to go into Parksville. It's a beautiful city, but it's expensive to live in. So for one, I think we should open our doors to things like tiny homes, to things like having perhaps multiple residences on larger properties, and continue on with more smaller units, more rental properties, and properties that can realistically house young families with children, not just one-bedroom, two-bedroom units. Another thing, and I think is a direct parallel here, and that is, as I alluded to before, we need more opportunities for people to have jobs that pay better. There's lots of work here in Parksville, but most of the jobs that are available to us hover around minimum wage, and you can't sustain a living that way. So that would be part of the plan put together with the expansion of more affordable housing. Thank you.
Very good. Teresa, would you like the question? No. Very good.
So I'm going to carry on with Marilyn's train of thought and everything, because I've been on council, and we have quite a bit of tax incentives and different opportunities for developers to have affordable housing or a smaller base in their development to incur some units that can be affordable. We've already heard about tiny homes. We've already heard about carriage homes and that as well. And like Marilyn, I attended UBCM and that last week and met with several of our ministers and BC Housing. So yes, they're going to come to the table with us after the election, of course. But I'm really optimistic to see some other units, and as like Marilyn was saying, there is a unit that's coming before council that is very much keyed towards income, and that's so we, like she said, or someone else said, it takes time, but we're getting there. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Would you like to hear the question, Doug?
I think I'm okay, Dave. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. And to your question, I heard the question as being a two-part question. One was affordable housing, which is one end of it, the problem, and the other was affordable rental. So let's break that down. Affordable housing, what we can do in Parksville is what we've already started doing by creating small lot subdivisions, by allowing carriage homes in existing properties and so forth. And the biggest one is going to be the densification of downtown, where one lot is actually providing 4 stories of housing. So we're increasing our housing inventory. The median house price right now in Parksville is $965,000. However, there's condos that are being constructed right now in downtown Parksville that are starting in the $400,000 range to $550,000 to $600,000 range for 2 bedrooms. So there's getting that price from $960,000 down to around the $500,000 mark. It's still a lot of money, folks, but it's more affordable than the median price that keeps on going. But that's going to happen by densification of the downtown core, which we're all going to now. Now, the other problem is the affordable rental problem. The thing is that we have attracted societies and so forth to our city to build areas like is going up right beside Quality Foods right now, up on Moliette. Anyways, and Nanaimo Housing Society is actually going to be running that as affordable rental housing based on wage that they have. So that's already going. We're encouraging
Paula, are you okay to go?
Yes, I'm okay to go. Right, thank you. I believe to address this issue, we need to think out of the box. All of the stuff that we have done in the past helps, but most of it is more on the long term. I believe we need to come with a short-term plan, a medium plan, and a long-term plan. I believe that we, as the citizens of Parksville, need to become more active, especially in the short-term plan, so that we can make sure that there is more affordable housing, and that affordable housing and rent-geared to income housing can also help support our young people coming up, our families coming up, and small business. I want to see council to take a more active role. One of my positions as a social worker is I have been an advocate. I have strong advocacy skills, and I believe that if we come together as a group, we can meet our goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
This is my favorite subject, affordable housing. It is the biggest problem that this city has at this point in time. Absolutely no doubt about it. We have 2 very divisive groups. We have those people who live in $800,000, $900,000, $1 million homes, and we have those people that can't afford $1,200 or $1,000 rent for an apartment. We have to fix that. There's a couple of ways that we are working on right now. The first question is supply and demand. You have to continue to increase the supply to the point where the demand isn't pushing the price up. Secondly, we have to do partnerships with organizations like Nanaimo Housing and the Co-op Association of British Columbia so that we can build houses by providing them land and allowing them to build their projects on our property over a long-term lease so that we can get the costs down along with all the other incentives that the city is. This is something that's going to take a long time. Folks, we started this 75 years ago. It took this long to get here. It's not going to change overnight. Regrettably, as much as we'd like it to, it is unfortunate.
Knocking on doors and talking to people, and most of the places I've been, is people who have their own homes. But they are very compassionate. You wouldn't be surprised. It's very special. The people in Parksville want more people to be able to live here and work here and play here, and that is an absolute fact. Because I've done about 1,200 homes, and I've got another 1,000 to do in the next 3 weeks. And this is what I'm doing. I'm listening to people. I know we hear about affordable housing, but it's such a huge subject. In Victoria, they had what they call Capital Regional District Housing years ago. That all 3 governments were a part of that. It's fabulous. The people have a percentage of their salary. They have to vote, put in every year what their salary is, and they pay a percentage according to their salary for rent. And if it has to have in a small way something like that in Parksville, we're not Victoria, of course, but this was in Victoria 30 years ago. So this is not unusual, and we've got to address this, and we have to do it now. And like previous have said, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm over now. Thank you for your time. You've been good listeners. Thank you.
Thanks. I don't need the question. Okay. All right. So I think you know what? I would say vote for Paula. She's the one that I heard that's talked about 3 different time frames: short term, medium term, and long term. And that's what we need to think about this. This is a strategic problem. But I also need to say, not but, I'm glad that this isn't a fire crisis, because waiting forever to put out that fire doesn't help. So in the short term, what can we do? We can look at things like, yes, co-op housing, changing our zoning, because that's within our control, to mixed use, so commercial on the ground, incentivize the residential space above, and how about legalizing secondary suites? Let the city help people actually bring those up to code. Longer term, supply and demand, I have an issue with that, because in my economics class, the cost of actually operating a unit keeps going up. So that means there's a price floor. Supply and demand is not going to fix that problem right now. That's mine, sorry.
A whole minute. Affordable housing is really close to me, and I heard you. And it's simple that if you want to live and work in Parksville and enjoy the recreational facilities we have, it's next to impossible if you make under $66,000 a year to live in any kind of nice place, not even a luxurious place, just a nice place. If you have kids, you're in real trouble, because now you're going to need a 2 or 3 bedroom, and those are priced way up. They're up in the $27,000, $28,000, up to $3,500 a month. And if you're making, $36,000, $38,000 a year, you're not anywhere close to that, and eating at the same time. How do you do it? What I would do on council is, I believe that the relationship with BC Housing needs repair between Parksville and BC Housing in a big way. And so I think that's where I would start. And then I'd try to involve the federal government, the provincial government, and ourselves, and just see what we could come up with. Thank you.
So I just want to give a little acknowledgement to the rental situation, which is, in my opinion, quite tragic. There are people who are working in jobs that they actually make quite a good wage, and they're living in trailer parks, and they're living down, in conditions that isn't really cool for the level of income that they have, really for anybody. There's only so much we can do in Parksville about a problem that is truly a Canada-wide problem. We are doing a lot. In case you haven't noticed, there has been a lot of construction happening around here. And so we need to tell the senior levels of government, we've been pulling our weight in this department. David Eby is likely to be the next premier, and he's made it a huge priority to build more housing. He's heard CMHC's call to build 3.5 million units in Canada by 2030 just to maintain our current level of affordability. So we need to go to the senior levels of government and say, we've been pulling our weight here. It's time for you to come and support our growing population to make sure that we can all have a good, balanced community here in Parksville. Thank you.
Hi, good evening again. Affordable housing, since I work in healthcare, I work at Stanford Place, the seniors home, it's actually tied to also the healthcare crisis. I work in Stanford, and we have nurses, registered nurses, who make good money. They cannot afford to rent in this city. In a 2-bedroom, they have to have a roommate. Who wants a roommate who's been an adult living their own lives? What do we need? Well, Parksville residents also, half of them are spending more than 30% on rent. These are facts from StatsCan. What can we do? Again, most people have already said we need to work with these agencies, collaboration with BC Housing. If they provide them land, get those things built. Bring back co-op housing. Well, the province and the feds have not invested in affordable housing for the last 30 years. It was in Times Colonies, not that long ago. So we need to bring those things back. And tiny homes is another one thing we should look at. Thank you.
Hello. As you heard from everyone else so far, this is not an easy issue to deal with, this affordable housing. As far as the houses themselves go, small lot subdivision houses are still selling for $800,000 right now as they're being built or more. So that's not really helping as far as the housing. As far as rentals go, we really need to get BC Housing involved, and we've got some housing right now that's going in behind QF, that is co-op style housing, and we need to approach BC Housing and make sure we can get some more of those of the next apartment building that's going to be developed. A developer's not going to build a co-op style housing unless we have other levels of government involved with helping with the funding, or the city is providing the land themselves. So that's where we need to go. We need to go to that route, because the houses themselves, small lots, maybe small houses might work, but the small lot subdivisions are still unaffordable. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what Lucky's just said was good. Actually, many people have brought up some great points. I am very concerned. It is a huge topic, and we really need to work together on this. And I seem to recall something that, we used at elementary school and coaching, and there's no I in team. We need constructive, collaborative work on this at the council level, but certainly with other levels of government and with the government authorities. So we need to build or rebuild a positive relationship with BC Housing on this. We need to expand the type of housing. So for instance, nice to hear talk of co-ops and others. Developers are in business. They do need to make some money. So without some extra incentives or having a diversity of housing providers, it's going to be hard to solve the problem of getting housing that is affordable, which is slightly different than affordable housing.
As a guy who runs a mobile detailing company, I go to a lot of seniors' houses. A lot of them are single women, husbands passed away, and the amount of times I get a call to come turn over a mattress or help move something, it's pretty big. As somebody who's done youth ministry for about 12 years, I've gotten to work with a lot of youth kids. The needs of people are the same, young and old, in a lot of ways. We've disconnected from each other, where an elderly does not want a young person in their house even though they have 2-3 extra bedrooms in there. We need to build community. We need to build connection again and stop division. If I was to sit there and ask how many people in this room have an extra room in their house they could rent out if they desired, how many hands would go up? Everybody's room's all full, or do you really need that third den? The difference is we gotta help each other. This is not a us versus them issue. This is we're all in there. If you need young people laboring, we need to give them a place to live. It's just that simple.
So I agree with a lot of what was said. We need partnerships with different agencies. We also need to reconsider what we're doing with our small lot developments. A lot of the properties, or some of the properties I'm aware of, are actually being developed and going to be evicting people who have affordable housing. When you have the super small lots, and it's difficult to add carriage homes onto that. The other thing, I know that there are rental programs that are coming. We should be, with those developments, there should be below market rentals that are part of those variances for the developer, and not only a 10-year commitment to rentals, but something that's more in line with what happens over on the mainland, which is 60 years. That would give the longevity, and with the below market commitment would allow for more housing.
Okay, very good. You know, I just want to add my commendations to you all for handling. I mean, this is difficult circumstances to be in. Just try speaking about anything for a minute. Our next, actually, Karen, we're going to start at your end now. Yep. Our next question, healthcare. Here it is. What actions will you be ready to take in order to increase the availability of family physicians?
Okay, so that's kind of near and dear to my heart, being a nurse in my background. You know, we're competing with everybody for physicians. We need to be creative in the type of healthcare providers that we encourage. Opening up a clinic with nurse practitioners, partnering with agencies that create the umbrella that allow physicians just to come in and work. There are opportunities to develop a clinic so that you could arrange locum physicians to come in temporarily. GPs and nurse practitioner type, that's local government, that's not provincial. So we really have to go out and we have to start working with these other agencies and create the infrastructure so that physicians can come in, do what they need to do without having the overhead. Thank you.
Healthcare is a big issue. My dad's in the audience. He's over 70. We all deserve to be able to go see a doctor and not have to wait 6 months or a year to see a specialist or a doctor. To attract that to Parksville, we already live in one of the most beautiful places in Canada. Doctors want to come here, but this is a nationwide thing where everywhere's looking for a doctor. So to attract it, yeah, we have to find initiatives. We have to find things that are going to bring people here and look outside the box. One of the candidates was talking about what Winnipeg's doing to attract it. There are programs out there that communities are using to attract doctors, nurses, and better health care to their areas. Now, one thing people won't like is there will probably be a tax increase. Boo. It's okay, you're allowed to boo me. But that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to think outside the box, work as a team, both provincially, federally, and on a municipal level to attract these doctors.
Thank you for the question. I'd like to start by saying that I can well imagine that the present council has also been giving some work, putting some work into this problem. It's something that's felt across the province. I also understand that recently there was an announcement by the government, and I don't recall the amount of money that is going to be put out to bring for family physicians. So I hope that that will benefit our community as well. I think that I would need to learn what has already been worked on, what is encouraging with Adam Walker, our MLA, and others. It's very true that what we do think we can do as well to encourage doctors to come here is to look at what can we do to prevent obstacles, such as reducing overheads, perhaps helping with housing that is affordable, because it's difficult for new doctors to come in and afford a place here as well. So all of those things play into getting new family doctors.
This issue is, as it was just spoken to a moment ago, is Canada-wide and certainly BC-wide. We see emergency rooms being shut down on weekends in some of the smaller communities because of the lack of doctors. So for us to solve it here is going to be a great challenge. How do we attract, or how are we going to get doctors to come here? Maybe we need to get together with a number of the doctors in town and find out what some of the roadblocks are. I was talking to some fellows today after Kerr Sterling, and they were mentioning that Alberta is paying quite a premium over what BC is to the doctors for the same procedures. So that could be a roadblock, as well as that the BC government is not funding the doctors enough to even get them into our province to start with, never mind trying to get them to Parksville. Other options or other things I've heard about, which I think we should explore as well, would be the city maybe owning a clinic and having the doctors come in and run it so they don't have to look after it themselves. So that might be another option for us to explore. Time's out. Thanks.
Hi. Healthcare crisis is affecting all of us, especially an aging community. We need more healthcare access. And it's going to get worse if we don't address the problem. Young families cannot find doctors for years, 2 to 3 years they've been waiting. What can we do as a municipal government? We know it's a provincial jurisdiction, but what we can do is talk to the province. I know the MLA has a plan about a primary health center. I would like to support it. I would like to collaborate and explore the options, how much it's going to cost the city of Parksville, and is it a workable solution? I would like to work with whatever options are being put on the table. And with the physicians being less in supply, we know because of the decisions that were made in the 90s by the federal government, we don't have enough supply of doctors. So that's another issue, but I think at municipal level, we need to collaborate with the province. Thank you.
Well, Meet has already hit on a couple of the things that are underway. One is with MLA Walker, who's working on a primary care center. For sure, that's something we need to continue, because a lot of doctors don't want to be an entrepreneur like I am. They don't want to be doing that. They just want to go and serve their patients. But we have to face it here that we are, and I'm putting my marketing hat on here because that's what I do, we have to understand why someone may want to come here to set up practice. And I'm talking not just doctors, because this is just across the healthcare spectrum. That's even dental hygienists is hard to find, is that we need to think, why would someone come here over somewhere else? You've got the whole world as a doctor, healthcare provider to go to. So we need to look at them and say, what would they like? What's going to attract them? A couple ideas that come to mind and that I've been thinking through is maybe we consider doing a lease option program for medical practitioners who are looking to come here who can't afford a home because they have big student loans. A lease option, look it up. It's a good way to go. The other thing is we could offer scholarships for students that are from our community to come back here to serve us in the healthcare practice. And finally, we need to look at how we're actually just communicating our city to the greater world and say, come here, Parksville is a beautiful place to live and set up practice. Thank you.
Hold a minute. How many people here don't have a doctor? That's what we're talking about right there. Lucky referred to it. That's part of the Winnipeg model. Someone I was emailing with gave me a heads up on the Winnipeg model. I've made some phone calls back there. I've talked to the city, and I've talked to some doctors. And it works. And it is a facility built by the city or managed by the city where the city pays for the administration, which is one of the doctors' biggest roadblocks. They don't want to pay for the administration. The doctor's responsible for the nursing staff and supplies and pays a monthly lease to the city. And Winnipeg was able to fill their clinic of 8 doctors within 2 months because it was also referred to the student loans they have when they come out of medical college. So they come out of medical college, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and they have a capital expenditure right away of $150,000, $200,000 to set up a practice. We take that away. And Parksville is just the icing on the cake because this is an amazing community and a great place to live. So we can market ourselves very easily and set that model up. And Winnipeg's done it. We don't have to write the book on it. We can follow their model. Thank you.
I'd like to echo what I've heard up here. So it's yes, and not just Winnipeg, even Ucluelet on the island is doing the exact same model. So what do we do in this case? We need to think about not just solving the same problem the same way. Oh, let's just get more doctors. There's nurse practitioners, there's physician's assistants. Let's shift the paradigm. If we're going to already be investing a new center, make sure it's technologically equipped for telemedicine. That means you have the option through technology. You can even use something like a stethoscope that a doctor in a different part of, not even BC, the world, could be listening to your heartbeats. These problems that are now happening in front of us affect us all, regardless of age. Let's make sure that the solutions aren't old, but rather they're for the future. We can future-proof the society that we live in by looking at solutions that already exist. We don't need to reinvent the wheel or try the same thing over and over again. Thank you.
There's certainly been a lot of great ideas here. We have to do more training in our country, and I think we all know this. We only train 2,500 doctors a year. It's absolutely pathetic. We need to double that. And this is not involved with Parksville. This is our federal government, provincial, needs to support it, and then we'll work with them. When I was with the Justice Institute, the paramedic graduations I went to, and in every class there was always one or two leaving the country. One young man I remember said, how can you afford that? He said, I have a rich uncle. He was going to Ireland, $250,000 paid his way. This has been going on for decades. It's nothing new. So we've come to a crunch now, and we have to address it, and I really believe Parksville is a fabulous place to come. I have a young man who lived and enjoyed Parksville with our family. He had to go to Australia to get trained. Has a Canadian wife. He's got a baby down there. His mother comes down to Australia to see the child. Those people can come back here. We just have to change our laws and do something about it now and not wait for another decade. Thank you.
Well, let's look at a couple numbers, if you will. 15 years ago, there was 288 seats in the medical schools in British Columbia. Does anybody want to guess how many there is today? 288 seats. We have not increased the number of doctors going to school yet. With all this problem, they knew this problem was coming 15, 20 years ago. They stuck their head in the sand and pretended it didn't exist, and now they're coming back and say, let the municipalities come up with the answers. The reality is that we need to increase the number of students. We are retiring somewhere around 3,000 doctors a year in British Columbia. Out of that 288, only 30% of those people are GPs. The rest are specialists, so they're not what we're talking about here at all tonight. We have a problem. And you know what? You know what the problem is we've let them do it. What we have to do is get their attention by saying, if you don't come up with an answer by the next election, we're going to find somebody that will, and vote for somebody else that comes up with the proper solution to this. That's the only way this will get fixed. Otherwise, the heads will keep being buried in the sand, and all these wonderful ideas about
Yes, health care is a huge issue. When I first moved to Parksville, I still don't have a doctor either. Okay, when I first moved to Parksville, I was able to go to a couple of clinics. They had locum doctors coming in, and one of them, I was actually able to schedule appointments if I knew he was in every Friday. When I needed to see somebody, I could schedule appointment. So as a short-term solution, we've got to explore that idea. Then I agree with the idea of the city developing a clinic, and it needs to be in Parksville. We need to develop that clinic in Parksville, not Qualicum Beach. The most recent stuff has gone into Qualicum Beach. It needs to be here in Parksville. All right, and this needs to become a priority so that our citizens' needs can be taken care of. Thank you.
So there's a doctor shortage, eh? Did that just happen? I mean, really, we've known about this for a long, long time. So you know what? I'm tired of all the finger pointing. I'm tired of all this, the upper level government. They're all downloading onto us. There's still no doctors. It hasn't been fixed. So already, even before the election, I'm meeting with the MLA Walker. I'm meeting with the government officials. I've met with the doctors. I've met with other medical personnel. Now, we have to have a primary health care center in the Oceanside area. And if that means the neighboring towns such as Qualicum Beach, Parksville, and the RDN districts around us all have to buck up to the table and cough up something, whether it's dedication of land or dedication of facility or a check. So the thing is, how we do that is by putting in a primary health care center in whatever area we can, and have the doctors so that when they graduate out of school, they can live for free in the primary health care center upstairs. And also we have to look at retaining doctors, and we have to retain the doctors that we have, and we can do that by actually having combined administrative services all at this primary health care center. We have to do it. We have to get involved. I've already started it.
So I mentioned that I attended Union of British Columbia Municipalities with Marilyn and Doug and Ed and our CAO, and we got to meet with some of the ministers. So met with Minister Adrian Dix, and I put it bluntly, because I've met with him a few times. He's diabetic, so am I. I give him a rub because, you know, a lot of my stuff isn't covered or anything. And I said, okay, hey, have you heard the Alberta commercials and everything? Have you guys heard the Alberta commercials of people, like, they want people to move to Alberta, and that from BC. And so that's the same thing with getting doctors. And I said, you know, we've had refugees and immigrants and everything coming to Canada. The problem is that a lot of them are already trained. So why can we not get a fast-track system in place rather than them going back to school for another 6 years when they've come to this beautiful, beautiful country and are in debt or don't have money or anything? So why can't we fast track to get doctors, nurse practitioners and everything, and even have a campaign like to the United States or Mexico or whatever to bring people here? So I suggested that. He said, okay, but you know, we're still dealing with COVID.
Well, I have a doctor, except for he lives and works in Campbell River, so it's really inconvenient when I have to drive my son over to him to get something simple done. So I understand the problem. Look, medicine and doctors, medical practitioners, unfortunately, we're at the mercy of other levels of government to a large extent when it comes to getting them in Parksville. However, I do believe that we could implement some city incentives, specifically to pay off young medical practitioners' student loans, for example. And how do you do that? Well, you can raise taxes, of course, and not everybody's a big fan of that, but we do have a lot of development in this city and a lot of money being made by developers. Now, I know there's currently a program to put money together for people to get into low-income housing. Why don't we talk to developers about perhaps putting a program together to pay off student loans, or develop a property for medical practitioners to come to Parksville and to be able to work and to make more money? Because let's be honest, money's where it's at. I mean, you talk about Alberta, all these people here, the money's better in Alberta, and that's why there's more doctors there. So we have to have a good value proposition for doctors. We have to market Parksville. It's the most wonderful place in Canada, if you ask me, and I'll argue any of you on that point. And we have to lobby candidates all over Canada. Thank you. No, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Hello? Okay, there I am. Everybody's got great ideas, and they're all probably pretty viable, so I'm not going to repeat those ideas, but Teresa and I, as she said, we did meet with Adrian Dix, and he did have other suggestions, one of them which was what Teresa suggested, that we train some of these foreign workers or people that are coming in here that have the skill, and we get them up and running much, much quicker. But as we all know, this is a provincial problem, unfortunately, and there's only so much that a city can do. But some of the research that I've done, and this falls in line with what others have said about good marketing. Some cities are actually using tourism to market their city to attract doctors, because amenities are so important, and good housing. So one of the things in the downtown revite will be to bring lots of good housing and amenities to people, and my time's up. Thank you.
It's mostly a money issue, really. When you are a GP, you get out of school, you owe at least $400,000 in student loans. So anything we can do to tempt those doctors to come, whether or not we can add developer fees or something to help them with those student loans, that would help. Train immigrants who already have their medical training, that would help as well. Expedite the process for them. Right now, GPs get, I think, $32 a visit. So we all think, hey, doctors are rich. They're not rich. GPs would love to work in hospitals when they get out of school, because then they get a salary. There's already staff there, nurses, LPNs, everything's there, all the admin, everything. When they start their own clinic, then they need a logo, and they need admin staff, and they need to find a place to lease so that they can work out of the clinic. So there's a lot of overhead. So it's really expensive actually to start your own clinic. So it's all about money. Email Adam Walker. That's a good way to do it too.
Once again, thank you all. We are now at the stage where we're going to present the third and final prearranged question. We have about an hour to go, so we had planned that the questions would take to roughly 9 o'clock, then it would be meet and greet time. We'll see how it plays out. Question number 3. And this time we start at this end, Sean.
It's just up there.
I know. Life isn't fair. We live in a UNESCO-designated biosphere, the Mount Arrowsmith Biosphere Region. If elected, what will you do to ensure that economic development within our biosphere will reduce our greenhouse gases and carbon footprint?
So the new building that is kitty corner from the fire hall is BC Step Code 4, which is, I believe it's the highest. Maybe there's 5. There's 4 is the highest. So there's solar panels all over the roof. There's plug-ins for your cars in the underground parking. It is the latest and greatest for energy efficient building. And so when developers come to us and they have that little box check for BC Step Code 4, we say, yes, that's fantastic, thank you. We also need to keep an eye on riparian zones along rivers. We need to have permeable surfaces, so instead of all our water running down the roads and into the storm sewers with all the stuff that comes off our car tires and exhaust, it goes into the ocean. That stuff's all bad. We need to have more ways for active transportation, e-bikes, e-scooters, pedestrians. We need to make it a very friendly city like that. We don't need more car-centric. That is not the way to go. We need more walkable, more e-bike, more e-scooter. That's the future. I could go on for a while, but thanks.
So I'm going to follow along with Sean, because the downtown revite is part of what will make this city more environmentally friendly, because it's going to create denser housing, mixed-use, commercial, residential units. It'll make it more walkable. That's just one of the ways that we can reduce it. And as Sean said, yes, we do have projects coming through now where developers are going to step 4. Step 3 is actually the minimum right now that a developer has to build to. So step 4 is the highest for commercial, step 5 for residential Part 9 of the building code. As far as water, I mean, this is what we have to do with, is ask developers and really kind of insist that developers look at ways that we can recycle water, take care of our water, make their buildings actually self-sufficient, and that's it again. I'm out of time.
I, for one, would like to see an enhanced electric vehicle charging infrastructure implemented in Parksville. Many of us now have electric vehicles, and there's not that many places to charge, especially in North Island. I think that would make a great improvement and incentivize people to drive cars that are non-combustion. I believe that we should fortify our downtown core. As is in the plan, a lot of people would agree that with more population there's less need for transportation. And as the city grows, I would definitely strongly fight for our irreplaceable parks, our irreplaceable beaches, that we don't have any construction taking place on them that is long-term or could hamper the environmental footprint in those places. I think it's important to be a shepherd for what we have so that it's here for our children. Thank you.
So I was thinking about this because someone said Parksville's ugly. And I was a little surprised because, I think that it's charming and everything, but then you start driving down the main street and you go, okay, yeah, it would help having some things greened up a great deal. Qualicum Beach did it right, but they did it right 20 plus years ago. And we're in the part right now that we have to look at what we're building, and do we have to? Do we actually have to grow? Do we need to have more buildings? I know it sounds weird, but everybody has water restrictions in the summertime. So we live in a beautiful place. I'd like to keep it. Thank you.
Later. Good job. Recently, I completed a course through the FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, on climate action leadership. It was an incredibly intense course and very informative. At the same time as I was doing that course, the City of Parksville staff were completing a course very similar to that. The City of Parksville staff have now come up with a plan for climate action leadership. Now we're taking that plan to a plan into implementation. So that means our senior staff are working with their staff, whereby as everything that we do, every decision we make, every item we pass has to be looked at through a climate lens. And that just means we have to stop and say, what is the effect? How is this going to reduce GHGs in our atmosphere and make Parksville carbon neutral? We've already done it by encouraging building like the mosaic that we're talked about at step 4. That's only part of it, but the other thing is we've also had an urban tree canopy study done recently that's will be brought forward to council to implement into Parksville to increase our tree canopy, which we need, and that all helps with the GHGs. So we're moving in the right direction, folks. I can guarantee you. Thank you.
I find it interesting that every time we see a new development happening, what's the first thing they do? They chop down all the trees. When the apartments were done across from Quality Foods, many of the businesses, all the way down to Hearst and further, had a rat problem. We need to look at not cutting down all our trees when we do new development, because We need to find a gray water system where we can be watering all of our plants through that gray water system, the trees that are on the boulevards and that. We need to increase the amount of trees that we are growing because that will make our area more comfortable, and that will help. And we also need to protect places like Englishman River Falls and the rest of our parks. They need to be protected. There needs to be more trees. And that will go a long way to taking care of this problem.
I made mention earlier when I started my 2-minute speech that we planted 12,000 trees in the last 4 years in the city of Parksville. Within the boundaries of the city of Parksville, we have come a long ways towards being environmentally friendly. Years gone by I can't speak to, but I can tell you that now we are. We're looking at how do we improve by reducing the amount of traffic, and that's by increasing the residents around the downtown core so people don't need their cars near as much to go shopping and to do the things that they need to do. We have so many things to be proud of here. We still have a long ways to go for the environment. We have a number of studies that are coming up that are going to give us even more information. It is improving day by day by day. It will get to the point where it will be a great place. Now it is a good place for environment. We have a lot of trees in our area. We have a massive park system with the community park, with all of our major parks around town, and we protect them with our heart and soul. We take care of those. We protect the beaches. We do all of those things. The rivers are, generally speaking, mostly outside of our jurisdiction. They're in with Nature's Trust or with the RDN, so we have very little to say, but we do have a lot to say at the regional side of it, that we want the riparian areas protected more than what they have been. And that's something that we're going for.
I've been a tree protector all my life. My mother was raised on Englishman's River. I've been there all my life. I have 50 acres on Englishman's River. It's our water source. I'm not what you call a tree hugger. We had to take down four first growth trees, the ones that, have been there forever because they were rotten. We had to do that. We still have the acreage. We have farm there. And I'm there for it. I'm there for it. I'm so pleased to hear that we have 12,000 trees put into Parksville now. I mean, there's more we can do. We can never do enough, as you know. So we continually to work at this, and I will, as on council, will do that, having been here all my life, watching the trees and keeping the trees the best I can. And I know it's all for the environment. It's all for the people. It's not just for my family. It's not like that. It's for everybody, because the trees do matter. And thank you, Parksville, for doing what you're doing so far. And let's work at doing more later. Thank you.
So Parksville should have some parks. I know it's named for a post office guy, but it should be a park, not a parking lot. And that is the piece that we need to remember. 12,000 trees sounds like a big number. It's a big number. Are they like for like? Is a seedling giving you the exact same amount of greenhouse gas reduction as, a 100-year-old tree would? I think not. So like for like, that's what we need to do. I don't believe that ratio is equitable. The other thing I'd want to say is when we're building, we need to make sure that the return on investment is there for the community, for long-term sustainability. There are standards like LEEDs, and where gray water is captured. You have rooftop gardens. I mean, there's a lot of progressive ideas out there that are already in play, even in places like Vancouver. So let's start investing now strategically for that return on investment later. And again, vote for Paula, because she's really got my vote tonight.
The amount of control that a municipal government has over what we're talking about is very limited. So going for the big pie-in-the-sky solutions is just going to take time and not get anything done. I think what we need to look at is better bike trails. We got to look at much more communication amongst the RDN and the city of Parksville to ensure we get, bike trails, we get parks protected, we get trees protected, we get everything that's there now protected, and then we look forward. It cost me $800 to take a sick tree down in my backyard. I don't know if a developer around here is paying $800 a tree, but I kind of doubt it. So if we're counting on developers to bring us the Holy Grail, it's not going to happen. They're going to take their millions of dollars out of our community and they're going to go. And we're going to be left holding the bag. We're going to have no parks. We're going to have every single piece of green space that gets open to them, they're going to put a building on it. And they're going to laugh all the way to the bank. I've seen it. I was raised in Abbotsford. I saw it happen there. Let's not let that happen here. Thank you.
Well, I'm one of 3 candidates for council on stage tonight who's been endorsed by Climate Vote Nanaimo. I come by it honestly. When I was a kid, I actually went door to door selling greeting cards that I made to raise money for Kids for Saving the Earth. It's also my sales thing I got started too, but I think the government has a responsibility to create the conditions for the kind of society we want. And one of the ways we do that is we actually have to listen to experts. We have to listen to scientists. And when scientists are giving us information about where our planet is going, we need to listen to that. And then we need to shape our policy to make sure that the communities we're growing and building are going in that direction, or moving away, in the case, from the direction we don't want to go. Personally, in my own life, we switched off of a gas vehicle in 2019. We went to a plug-in hybrid, barely ever go to a gas station again. And I've been very much paying attention to new energy technology. I'm kind of a tech guy, so I really enjoy that, and I've been following that very closely. And I think that as a city, we can do many more things that have been mentioned along the row here. So I just want to give you my own background on that. Thank you.
Hello again. I'm glad this is the question being asked. That means we are serious about environment. Asking all these candidates what they're going to do about the environment. This is a good start. Green spaces are important for our mental health. We know about COVID. After COVID, this has become even more important. So I will prioritize protecting our green spaces, implementing the trails and open spaces master plans that exist already in 2019. The OCP talks about adding 10 hectares of green space for every 1,000 residents. Have we done that? More people have been coming to Parksville. Where's our extra 10 hectares? I will, again, same thing. It goes 2 ways. Promoting newer technology in building, that's one thing. Rain gardens, rooftop gardens, but also smarter technology when it comes to city vehicles or people in general in making it more walkable, bikeable, e-bikes, e-scooters. Qualicum is doing it. We try it too. Thank you.
I think what we need to do with new development, it's hard to stop development if it's meeting all the check boxes in the criteria. So right now, the minimum code is 3, and maybe we need to take all the projects, new projects that come up have to be a 4. That might stop the developer from developing because it may be too expensive. They may not know how to do it to that level. But let's stop this development unless it's going to meet what we want to have here. Also, some of my priorities were e-bike lanes and a bike route through town. The e-bikes are coming. They're already here. I see more on the road all the day. I'm a biker. I don't have an e-bike. I just manually ride, but there's a lot of e-bikes. And so we need to build that infrastructure for that. We need to build trails so they're safe, and also so the drivers feel safe around them, and the infrastructure so they can be charged. And new development needs to have charging stations for the electric cars that are coming as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. This is an area where we actually can take a number of very concrete steps to address this. Trees have been mentioned, and great to hear that so many have been planted. I would really like to see a priority for getting more street trees so that we can further increase our tree canopy. And I haven't had the chance to go through the tree management master plan yet, but I do look forward to doing that. Talking about active transportation corridors, which is great, and we want to encourage people to use these. We do need to also add in trees and other things to make them pleasant places to be, both for physical and mental well-being, and to also absorb carbon. New developments, we need to look at the checklists that builders go through. At the very least, we can ask to include rough-ins for EV chargers, because yes, they're coming. Riparian zones absolutely need to be looked at. Stormwater management is a huge priority for me. I think it's incredibly important that we look at where the water is going that's running off our buildings and coming down in rain. We need to get it in the ground and hold it there. Thank you.
It's nice to see Parksville is taking steps to increase the efficiency of houses in Parksville, and I think that is a big step current council has done a half-decent job in doing, and I do appreciate that. One of their pillars right now is to be good stewards of our land and water. And when you take down a forest and put up a building, pretty much no matter what building you put up there is not going to be beneficial the same way that forest was to the environment. So either we're going to protect the environment, or we're going to grow, or we're going to have to find ways to redevelop the land and infrastructure we already have here to accommodate more people. My name's Frank. I'm not going to sit there and tell you otherwise. I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel and how it is. That's the one thing you will get with me. So either we develop the land and area that we've already developed in ways that can facilitate more people, or we cut down trees and build more properties. There's not a really big gray area in between.
So I agree with a lot of what's been said here tonight about the EV and the green builds, but we also have to look at that in context with the environment that those green builds are being done in. Permeable surface is such a big thing. The amount of concrete and paving create heat islands. The biggest problem that I can see, and I would ask you to go and look at some of the developments that are currently being considered. There's an area behind Wembley Mall. There's 3 developments that are proposed between the Old Island Highway and the estuary, and of course the Grigg Road development that's being proposed. When you look at Google Earth and look at Parksville, these are some of the last remaining green spaces. Our wetlands and these mature trees are the ones that have the greenhouse capture. You can plant 12,000 trees. They will never do with what we have now. These are critical, and we have to be very conscious of how we're actually developing that land.
Job to one and all. It appears that we are not going to have time for submitted questions, at least to be presented in this format. That does not mean you won't have the chance to do so after. We've invited the candidates to stay up to 9:30 if they wish to have a chance to meet with you personally and answer questions in that manner. We also promised the candidates an opportunity to make closing remarks. Due to time constraints, we have allowed only 30 seconds for this to be accomplished. Once again, good fun. So, Karen, you might have already figured that you're going to be called first up, so if you would.
Take me 30 seconds to clear my brain and have new thoughts. So really what the takeaway is that we're not the only ones dealing with some of these issues. We need to look at who is actually doing and dealing with these and having success with them. We need to cherry pick from those places, and we need to be able to use those that fit with us. There are solutions that we can do now, and some of these are going to require hard decisions. That might be making, putting the squeeze on developers, but maybe if that's not what they're there for, should they?
Yeah.
I know we are facing challenges like affordable housing, homelessness, environmental concerns, and growing need for doctors and other services. These are not small issues, but when I look at the quality of individuals who are running for council, I know Parksville will be in good hands to deal with these challenges. As the saying goes, a house divide cannot stand. In the same way, community divide will not prosper. Please use your voice and vote accordingly.
Thank you. So my name is Mary Beal. I care very deeply about our city and our neighborhoods. I appreciate and consider input from staff and from the community. I enjoy learning about issues and doing the necessary research. That's weird, I know, but I really do. I value working constructively and collaboratively with all levels of government and with their authorities in order to support a safe, active, and healthy community. And on voting day, I hope I will turn your vote. Should have done.
I've got a lot of experience, as I mentioned before, sitting in council meetings and working with the management of City Hall, and I believe that's going to help me hit the ground running if I get elected into council. I stand for active living opportunities and the environment as well. I look forward to reducing some of the building that's going on in town, and if it is
Hello again. I would like to say this has been an amazing learning opportunity for me, going around Parksville, talking to all of you. I'm really enjoying the door-to-door campaigning. Thank you. I want to have better engagement of the public in decisions that are made in the City Hall. We can do it by I have some ideas, a better City of Parksville website, more interactive, where you can see your areas where the developments are going to go, proper rendering, how it's going to affect your neighborhood. Town hall meetings, let's bring them back. Again, I stand.
All right, let's see if we can do this. So we live in a complex and unpredictable world. I think if we thought back to 2018, what issues may come up in the next 4 years, no one would have guessed there'd be COVID or a heat dome. So that's why I'm going to tell you what approach I'll take. I'll always listen with empathy, thoughtfully consider the short-term and long-term impacts of a decision. I'll follow the best data available, and I'll choose the principled path, not just the popular one. I look forward to talking to you afterwards, and check out my website.
30 seconds. This is going to be fun. I want to address an elephant in the room, so I'm going to talk real fast. That's the homelessness situation in Parksville. I believe right now that we are 3 to 4 Mounties short for the population base that we have, and I think that Parksville needs to seriously look at the number of Mounties that we have in the community. Vote for me, Mike Kelly.
Tonight, we just scratched the surface on a whole lot of complicated topics. So I encourage everybody to visit everybody's website, including mine, www.electjeet.com. Inform yourselves, come out and vote, and communicate with us. That's the best we can do right now, but you know what? We can do better for Parksville, for everybody here, and all the issues we've talked about touch on 3 things: people, profit for businesses, and the planet. That's called the triple bottom line. Thank you.
You're a patient crew. I've been called an activist, and I don't know what that, it's getting things done. You've got to think outside the box. You've got to do it now. You've got to do the best you can. And as a counselor, I will. I'm sincere. I will. I've had experience working with many different people, hundreds of people. It's It's collaborative. We do it together. We make it happen, and we do it for the citizens of Parksville. And I ask for your support on the 15th of October, only 3 weeks away. Thank you.
If you want Parksville to remain one of the top 3 economically sustainable communities in all of British Columbia, if you wish to see young people have a place to live, work, and play while still supporting our flourishing and vibrant seniors community, if you feel like me that we have had enough excuses from the province and that every person in the city of Parksville deserves a doctor, then I ask for your support.
Your vote matters. But what's even more important than your vote mattering is getting involved with Parksville Council, with the issues after October 15th. We can only move forward and create a vision for the Parksville we want in the future, for our seniors, for our families, for our children, for everybody.
Again, due to extreme climate events, droughts, and the explosive growth that we've had, we need more water. It's as simple as that, folks. The thing is that we need more Highland water storage reservoirs built. I vow to look into having the proper consultants get a study back to us on the availability of water and how we can do side stream storage in the Highland areas, because the thing is that the growth is going to continue to go, and as well as tourism is going to continue to grow.
I started this journey 17 years ago. My daughter is probably the youngest person in the audience tonight. But I believe family first, community second. And I hope everyone got a card and can call, text, email, Facebook your questions for me. The election is on October 15th with advance voting on the 5th and the 12th, and I sincerely
Guys, thanks for taking the time to listen to us tonight. If you vote for me, I can assure you I will always be pragmatic and honest. I stand by my convictions, but I will always have an open mind and will allow that mind to be changed by anyone around me. If you vote for me, I will work for you, not for myself. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I don't know why this thing, okay. Thank you so much. I just want to say, as a designer, sustainability is at the core of what we study and learn, and that's just part of who I am. The Art Gallery, Macmillan Arts Centre, is hosting a meet and greet for me. There are many things that I would have liked to say, but obviously I'm too slow at the mics, so I don't get them out. And you're welcome to come. It's October the 3rd, I believe, from 3 to 5, and you can always check it out on my website.
I just want to end up talking about homelessness as well. Police are not trained to deal with people with mental health and addictions, so more police is not going to help with that issue. OHEARTS is doing a fantastic job. So is Susanna Newton at SOS. I'm a registered volunteer with them. I would love to be on the homelessness task force with Susanna. That's how we help people, not by closing Riverview and kicking them out on the streets. I think hopefully the province learned about that. Vote for Sean.
Okay. Well, Thank you to the candidates. Congratulations on your ability to manage our ridiculously restrictive demands. You've all performed very well, and I thank you all for wanting to stick around a little longer to meet some folks and answer some more questions if possible. Thank you to you for making this evening successful. I hope you will see it that way, event. And now's your chance to meet and greet. Thanks for coming. Good night.